There's no doubt that we are experiencing an unprecedented socioeconomic crisis. And when the crisis affects us closely because we lose our job, or because our finances are tighter, or because we see that the investment, the savings that we invested in are losing value, we feel in danger. And very easily we fall into the trap of fear. Fear is a very useful emotion, and because it makes us aware of a danger, preventing us from behaving imprudently. However, it prevents us from making the best and most appropriate decisions. The physiology of fear triggers a series of events in our body. A gland in our brain called amygdala takes control of our thinking brain, the neocortex, and activates a process which floods our body with chemicals such as adrenaline and cortisol. So the body has the ability to fight or flee, to react. All parts of the brain and body are called upon and organized to ensure survival when we are faced with danger, but we lose the ability to be objective and to evaluate things neutrally. One consequence of fear is that we lose the ability to see long-term, to analyze and imagine different outcomes and results. Another consequence of fear is that we feel victims of our circumstances. We feel unable to control our life, and we blame our problems on fate or on other people. When we believe that we are victims, we are powerless, because something outside of us shall change to allow us to come back to balance and serenity. In the very moment that we believe we are victims, we lose the opportunity to do something about it, to find a solution. So we need personal responsibility. It begins with a willingness to face any situation on the assumptions of what we are, what we do, and what we have depends on us. Personal responsibility does not mean taking the blame. In fact, it's just the opposite. It empowers us and becomes our liberation. It means accepting that everything we create in life arises from our conscious or unconscious choices. We have created who we are today. And with the same principle, we can change it if we choose. And to develop personal responsibility, you need to train yourself to notice your role in all circumstances, especially in the ones upsetting you. Each annoying event, every person enraging us, every situation that scares us can become a teacher. The practice that I suggest is what I have called 4S practice, and it is described in my new book. It is a process that we can follow whenever something or someone triggers an upset in us. The 4S are 4 steps. The first one is stop the action. The first thing to do in a situation like this is to diffuse the mechanism of the amygdala. This gland, once activated, takes only 6 seconds to completely flood our body of chemical elements that prepares us for flight, fight, or flee. And we have so little time to stop the process. And breathing is a powerful tool. Switching from the normal 15 breaths per minute to about 4 communicates to the body that it can relax. A conscious deep breathing has a positive impact on the nervous system and calms the mind. The second step is step on the balcony. The term stepping on the balcony was coined by Ron Heifetz, professor at the Harvard Kennedy School of Management, to refer to the ability to move in the position of the observer, broaden our perspective on what's happening, and reflect on what's really going on. When I use the words stepping on the balcony, I invite you to detach yourself from the situation and imagine that your center of consciousness moves away from your body and goes up to see things from a certain perspective. Without the ability to get on the balcony while we are busy doing things, we are in the action, we become slaves to our automatic reactions. You might say, well, I can always reflect later after my reaction. But this does not always work, particularly because some reactive behaviors cause wounds that do not disappear just because we apologize. Also, if we do not learn to stand on the balcony while we are in the action, we cannot change the course of the events, because at any given simulation we will enter into a predetermined pattern, as if we had just turned the automatic pilot on. Getting on the balcony will get easier and easier if you are supported by a constant practice of meditation. And if you want to learn meditation, you can download a free app for your smartphone or pad called Transforming Mind Practice, and my voice will guide you to a 15 minutes meditation. The third step of the 4S practice is spot the need. This is the most difficult step because it asks you to think while you are dealing with the event or the person generating discomfort. You must ask yourself, what interpretation am I giving to this experience? And what is the pure and simple fact disconnected from my interpretation? And why am I reacting this way? And even better, is there any need of mine that I feel endangered? For example, the need for safety, for predictability, for being loved, for being independent, and so on. A first advantage of asking questions is the possibility to access the part of our brain that allows a more creative response to events, namely the neocortex. Thinking and reflecting on questions diffuse the reaction of the amygdala, which loses its intensity and eventually turns off. In addition, it allows us two great opportunities. The first is taking responsibility for what is happening, and the second is to use the upsetting events as a chance to discover how the fear of not meeting our needs locks us in an automatic defense mechanism and makes us ineffective to deal with reality. And finally, we got to the fourth step, select the option. And at this point, you can look with more clarity at what is really happening and choose the most appropriate response to get the results that you want. When you understand the influence of your needs on your automatic reactions to others and to life's events, when you choose to diffuse their power over you, you will notice how many and useful possibilities there are. When you have a certain familiarity in the 4S practice, you will recognize that when you feel discomfort in a certain situation, this derives from the interpretation that you make of it. You will recognize also that the interpretation is filtered by the fear of a need not being satisfied. Also, you will understand what need you feel endangered, and maybe you will find a pattern. And you will recognize that you may instead choose to interpret your experience differently, give it a different meaning, and stop allowing a need to control your life.